Call today. This is your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, November 20th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. State lawmaker to take third try at Maine marijuana bill, from the Portland Press-Herald. State Representative Diane Russell is hoping that Portland voters' decision this month to legalize the recreational use of marijuana will propel her third attempt to pass a bill allowing the sale and taxation of the drug statewide. The state's legislative council is slated to decide Thursday whether to allow Russell's proposal and others to be taken up as emergency bills in the next session, which starts in January. Medical Marijuana Caregivers of Maine, a trade association representing people who grow and provide medical marijuana, sent out a letter asking people to urge their legislators not to support the bill. The new proposal would impose a 10% sales tax and a 15% excise tax on marijuana. That revenue would go toward public school construction, addiction treatment, and prevention of underage sales and usage, among other programs. American Medical Association reaffirms opposition to marijuana legalization, from U.S. News and World Report. The American Medical Association's policymaking body voted Tuesday to reaffirm its opposition to marijuana legalization, but also called the current federal approach to reducing drug use ineffective and endorsed a review of the risks and benefits of new legal markets in Colorado and Washington. The AMA's 527-member House of Delegates decided during its interim meeting in National Harbor, Maryland, to retain the long-standing position that, quote, cannabis is a dangerous drug and as such is a public health concern, end quote. New language adopted by delegates, however, says, quote, federal efforts to address illicit drug use via supply reduction and enforcement have been ineffective, end quote. Despite that recognition, the AMA walked away from some policy recommendations, deleting an endorsement in place since 1977 that urged, quote, modification of state law to reduce the severity of penalties for possession of marijuana, end quote. Push for medical marijuana likely in the 2014 Iowa Legislature, from the QC Times. A mother, an Iraq War veteran, and a former director of New Mexico's medical marijuana program made the case for changes in state law to allow Iowans with a variety of medical conditions to seek relief through medical marijuana. The public information meeting in Iowa City Tuesday night, was sponsored by Senator Joe Bolcom of Iowa City and was about, quote, safe, legal, and controlled access, end quote, to marijuana for medicinal use for people. Said Iraq War veteran from Davenport, quote, it's a shame that I have to go outlaw to use a drug that works for me, who he said treated his PTSD and related symptoms with marijuana after numerous prescription drugs either failed to help or made his conditions worse. Quote, I don't like being an outlaw in a country that I fought for, end quote. Senator Bolcom plans to propose reclassifying marijuana from Schedule 1, which means it has no medicinal benefit, to Schedule 2. Details of West Virginia medical marijuana bill emerge, from the News Observer. The first details about a proposal to legalize the use of marijuana for medicinal purposes in West Virginia emerged on Wednesday during a legislative committee meeting. Charles Roskovensky, the chief counsel for the House Committee on Health and Human Resources, told the Joint Committee that a bill he's drafting for them would allow people with certain illnesses like cancer and glaucoma to possess up to 6 ounces of marijuana. If the bill becomes law, registered patients would be able to purchase medical marijuana at 5 compassion centers throughout the state that would be chosen through a competitive bid process, he said. Registered patients would also be allowed to have a limited number of 12 marijuana plants, he said. Even though he doesn't smoke it anymore, marijuana is at the core of Kinky Friedman's run for public office, from Houston Press. Kinky Friedman hasn't smoked pot in more than 20 years, but that's not keeping him from running for Texas Agriculture Commissioner, with legalizing cannabis as his main platform plank. Famed Major League Baseball fastballer Nolan Ryan may enter the fray on the Republican ticket, as he has hinted, and if so, the race for Texas Agriculture Commissioner just might be Texas's top political circus of 2014. Said Friedman, quote, look, I'm 69. I don't have time for stunts. I'm dead serious about this run and about pushing for legalization. Marijuana is at the heart of a crucial matrix that, if we can get it straightened out and in motion, will become a great economic engine we can use to solve some of the biggest problems we faced as a state. It's time Texans ask themselves, are we going to secede or are we going to lead? End quote. This has been your 420 Radio News for Wednesday, November 20th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. When we come back, we go behind the headlines and go down to Texas, among other states, to take a look at the latest polls for legalization and how they're not that far off for the support for medical marijuana. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back.